Her waistline is so big that she ended up choking a monster who tried to swallow her. So is this a big waistline to you? Hi and welcome back to the channel, Steven, with your weekly figure news fix, this time around 4th to 9th of March 2023. This week we don't have many genuine figures on pre-order, like HLJ is very bare bones for the week, mainly because like 30 or 40% of the genuine figures on pre-order this week are AmiAmi exclusives. It really sucks, but it is what it is. And then we have a few more items on NininGame for the exclusive items as well. And then, of course, finally, third-party stuff where things are a lot more interesting for this week, right? Okay, now we are going into HLJ, and as usual, I've selected the female characters I wanted to cover. Moving on to the first two figures, we'll begin with 1x4 scales as usual. Okay, from Shinobi Master Senran Kagura New Link. Okay, 1x4 scale Hikage. This figure is actually a re-release. Like the very first release more than a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, was the white color version. This one right here, right? Yeah. She is only having a small piece of cloth covering her cannons on the chest, so I need to cover it because YouTube does not like it. I mean, Facebook is a lot more open, by the way. You can post anything you want in Facebook nowadays as long you cover up the important parts, like barely cover them, and you're still allowed to post it, right? Okay, this is going for only 26,000 yen, so now you are choosing between the black version and the white version, right? Now, normally I have a preference towards a black color version if there is an anime character getting two different color variants, but specifically for a nurse outfit, so-called nurse outfit. Yeah, I think white makes a lot more sense, right? I don't think I've ever seen black color nurse in real life before. Like, it doesn't exist, right? Even wedding dresses, where sometimes we do get black wedding dress, I think that is only a Western thing. In Asia, you won't see such a thing as black wedding dress because black is often bad luck in Asian culture, right? So at 1x4 scale, yes, pick your poison. 26,000 yen only coming out in August. That is really fast and also really cheap for 1x4 scale. Moving on to the next one, Black Bunny illustration by Teddy. Okay, original character, freeing, 1x4 scale, 36,000 yen. I can't say I can recommend this one because this looks kind of generic, right? Like generic bunny figure. And 36,000 yen does feel a bit too expensive to me. I think that tray of beverages she is holding that is responsible for a 3,000 or 4,000 yen hike. I don't think this should be more than 30,000 yen if I have to be honest. Freeing does have 30,000 yen 1x4 scale figures, right? That has gone on pre-order like recently. It is not a re-release, something new, but only 30k. This figure over here, it feels 6,000 yen too expensive to me. Yeah. Perhaps licensing cost, my guess over here. Moving on to the next one, I think this is the only Azalane figure this week. Toza Hometown Zest swimsuit version from Daiki Kogyo, 1x7 scale, 28k. Yeah, kind of expensive, but you're getting a bench and kind of a nice base over there. So that is up to you. It is on the expensive side, but most Azalane figures are pretty pricey to begin with. Coming out in September, only 6 months away. As I mentioned earlier in the past, like few months ago, Daiki Kogyo, they make ecchi figures, right? But maybe they are not selling really well, so when your business is not doing well, you look to Azalane to cover your back, like to save your company in a way. Their stuff always sells. Okay, this figure over here, I do kind of like it, but at the same time, you know, I'm always looking at logic. Real world logic, even though it does not apply to anime, like that can't be comfortable. You have a huge nine-tail behind you and you're sitting on that bench over there. Yeah, that does not look comfortable at all. Look at that. Like the bench has to feel very restricted in space, if you get what I mean. Don't question anime logic, right? Or game logic for the matter. Yeah, I know she comes with a nice accessory over there, but 28k still feels kind of expensive. I wouldn't call it overpriced, but kind of expensive. Maybe because of my views on this brand Daigi Kogyo, which I view them as barely average, right? Okay. Moving on to the next one over here, Wave Corporation, 1x7 skill Dream Tech Yu Takasaki from Love Live Nijigasaki. Alright. Is that even a Love Live character? Like, yeah, I know. I did not watch the newer Love Live series because it feels like they are just beating the dead horse. I don't know. To me, it is not nice at all, the newer series. Okay, this is going for just under 18,000 yen after a small discount coming out in August. Yeah, 18k is about the maximum they can ask for this figure really, because this is a plain JK figure, right? Yeah, it doesn't feel like an idol character to me because, you know, idols, they dress up in all this fancy looking outfit. Sure, Love Live is immensely popular in Japan. Not going to deny that, but I'm beginning to sound like a broken record when I voice off my kind of dislike or disdain for the newer Love Live series in general. Moving on to the next one, we have a pricey premium resin statue by Prime 1 Studio, 1x6 scale concept master line Rimuru, Ranga, and Benimaru DX edition, 218k. That is 4 digits in US dollars, right? And there is a slightly cheaper version, just slightly, 186k. So once again, it's about 15% cheaper, which isn't that much cheaper. What is the difference really? Yeah, when I scroll back and forth, they look exactly the same. Must be the accessories. Oh, this is made of polystone, not resin. Polystone, that is even better, but in terms of durability of the material, it is not any better than resin in the sense that you pray that this thing does not arrive broken, right? Polystone is very fragile. Even though the ability of this material to replicate detail is among the best materials out there, it is really hard. It does not like succumb to environmental factors or heat that easily compared to PVC or even resin. Oh, I see. Now I'm starting to remember. I think Prime 1 Studio has the habit of giving you extra face parts, extra swappable parts, and then they charge you another 20,000+ yen or so. This must be the case over here. There we go. See that one single character, you're getting 3 additional face parts, including the default one. 3 face parts for this, 2 face parts for Rimuru, and Ranga has 2 face parts. Are all those extra parts which would be lying around, sitting around in a box or on a shelf unused because you only display one at a time? Are all those parts worth that extra 20,000-25,000 yen? I'll leave it to you to decide. I'm the kind of person who does not like to be left out of something. Like, if I buy something, I prefer to get the complete package whenever possible, but of course, it really depends on value proposition in the end. Like, not every Kotobukiya figure, I would go for the deluxe or exclusive version, you know, the Koto Online exclusive version, where you pay an extra 2,000, 3,000 yen just for one single plastic small face plate that cost them maybe 500 yen to make. That is the thing. Sometimes I don't feel it is worth it at all. Now, you're getting a few extra over here for more than 20k. I'm not sure if it is worth it, right? Okay, at the same time, people who spend 4 digits, thousands of US dollars on statues, I think 20,000 yen, 25,000 yen of difference, it might make no difference to them. Like, they have so much disposable income that they could freely spend it any way they want. They don't feel the pinch of an additional, $200. Yeah. In the end, everyone has their own perspective on what is worth it, what isn't. Personally, my favorite Rimuru Tempest figure is still the one made by Shibuya Scramble Figure or Eastream. More than 2 years ago, I think that one was nominated as one of my best figures of the year. Yeah, the one with devil wings or dragon wings, and there is that energy shield, yeah, that is still my favorite one today. Even after seeing this figure by Prime 1 Studio, I'm not really into this one over here, right? Alright, moving on to the next one, we have one Hatsune Miku figure this week. 1x6 scale Sakura Miku Hanami outfit version, which is very photogenic. I like how photogenic, how artistic this thing is looking despite the simplicity of the figure. For only 20,000 yen, this is a no-brainer. Hatsune Miku collectors need to buy this. Yeah, some people on my Facebook page, they told me that they don't like the bow on her neck over here. That bow or ribbon is way too big. It should be slightly smaller, but yeah, I mean, in real life, if you are dressing up in a very fashionable way, as long you are not in Shibuya in Japan, you dress up like this with a huge bow at your neck and you go out, I think people will be staring at you like, who is this weirdo dressing up like that, right? Yeah, perhaps this is only the kind of thing you'll see people in Japan wear, especially the Shibuya region, like very fancy, very out of the norm fashion sense in a way, but sometimes I do like them a lot. Like, they are very different from the rest, right? And oh, I just have to love Good Smile's paint work over here. Like, on her hair and also the skirt, you see the gradient work on that pink, purple, magenta-ish. Yeah, I mean the gradient work all over the figure. I love paint work like this. Let's hope there are no QC issues. I mean, Good Smile has a very good track record with anime figures, especially their Fate series figures, but their Miku stuff is more of a mixed bag, right? They make good ones, they make those with QC issues occasionally. Let's hope this one turns out great, because this is an absolute bargain at 20,000 yen. This is a must buy. Moving on to the next one, this is something YouTube does not like at all. Like, you have barely two very small triangular pieces of cloth floating, barely covering that pink color dots over there. Like, yeah, I mean, even if I am into buying edgy figures, I don't think this figure over here would appeal to me that much. Like, there is too much skin being exposed, right? I like partially covered figures, make no mistake, but this is a bit too little cloth to my liking. Okay, so this is a 1x7 scale summer waiter illustration by King, by Hobby Sakura. As usual, the figures are almost always 20,000 yen if you buy the deluxe version with the wall scroll, and then there is a regular version without the wall scroll for 18k, right? Hobby Sakura does have pretty interesting original character figures, but this one is not one of them, like, not my kind of thing. Yeah. Moving on to the next one. Okay, the next 5 or 7 figures, they're all low cost figures. Starting off, this is one of the most anticipated for some people. A low cost figure of Ting Yun from Honkai Star Rail 1x10 scale gift plus, which is Mieto's version of Pop-Up Raid, right? Their low cost figure line. Only 4,800 yen coming out in October. There are those of you who were asking the question, does she come with a bent neck or broken neck? Well, I don't think Mietos will give you a broken neck straight out of the box, because you can always do that to the figure on your own, right? So it does not make sense to include a broken neck in the box. Okay, anyways, back to this figure itself. Some of you said that certain parts of her outfit is different from the character design in the game, but the thing you guys need to understand is that these figure companies, they receive like the blueprints of the character design from the IP holder, the copyrights holder, sometimes a few months or even half a year ahead. Sometimes the character is not even officially announced yet or added to the game yet, but they have already released the blueprints of the character to figure manufacturers who purchased a license for it. So sometimes within that few months where the character went from unofficial to official, there may be some last minute design changes or revisions for reasons like censorship, or maybe they are just adding more detail to the character, but the blueprint received by the figure brand a few months ago, they are just going to follow that. They are not going to make any changes. Maybe because they have already completed their 3D modeling or even making the cast, right? The iron cast for mass producing the figure, which is why there may be differences. It is not a surprise really. My opinion on this figure for Honkai Star Rail fans, even though you may be unhappy that this is a 1/10 scale, I mean this thing is so cheap and Mietos has a very solid reputation, so I would say go for it. Even though this is a bit disappointing skill wise, it is too small. Yeah, I don't like it small either. Yeah, that was what she said, by the way. Okay, but that is a very outdated joke, by the way. Like, it is so overused. Okay, as for this figure itself, right, it is more of a head scratcher to me. Like, I don't understand Mieto's decision behind this figure. They are capable of making highly detailed, high quality 1/7 scale figures for 20 plus thousand yen. Why not make this figure at 1/7? Why did it have to be 1/10 scale? I'm sure every figure brand knows how popular Honkai Star Rail is, right? The Honkai franchise in general, that includes Impacted, by the way. And knowing how popular it is, they either refuse to make figures or they put in a low effort and they release low cost products. Like Apex is making Honkai Star Rail figures, all those small chibi figures, you know, that cost only a few thousand yen. And now Mietos is coming up with a low cost 1/10 skill. I just don't get it. Or maybe they are looking at the third party market, the unlicensed market, and see all these resin figure brands spamming so many already, and then they don't want to compete. They would rather not focus on other products. Maybe that is one of the reasons. Your guess is as good as mine. But so far, for game characters from Chinese IPs in general, Honkai stuff, Genshin as well. Genshin is like one of the biggest culprits over here. I just don't understand. These figure companies, their reluctance to make high-end skill figures out of these characters, because I'm certain they would sell really well, regardless of how popular the third parties are, because there are still a lot of people out there refusing to buy third party stuff because, you know, everyone has a limited budget. They don't want to gamble with their money by going for something that is an unknown to them. Yeah. Moving on to the next one over here, I'm not sure if you can call this low cost, but anyway, it is a pop-up rate. Fluted Armor, PlayStation 5 version from Demon's Souls for 10,000 yen. I feel I've covered this last week, I'm not too sure. This is quite tall, I think. Pop-up rate SP is around similar size to pop-up rate L. And yeah, this is seriously detailed. 24.5, there you go, 1/7 scale roughly. But this is a male character, so male characters at 1/7 should be taller than 24, but anyways, this is non-scale. Demon Souls. Third parties have made a lot of stuff as well. You can find like $25 Demon Soul figures on Taobao, unlicensed PVC figures, yep. Okay, moving on to the next one over here, Otonari-san, or the JK Stalker in Sasaki no Pi-chan. This is a seasonal anime that is ongoing. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. I know the art of the anime is like very low detail, very generic. It feels like a low quality, low budget anime. That is my initial first impression, but the more I watch it, wow, I loved it, man. Yeah, it is a bit like Gate, where the main character can jump into isekai and jump back to the real world anytime. Right, I love that kind of anime. Gate was one of my favorites. That one did not get a season 2 or season 3, unfortunately. Sasaki no Pi-chan is very similar in a way. Okay, so this one is 5,400 yen standard pricing for Tanitol. Yeah, this girl, she has a crush on a 40-year-old uncle. I'm not sure why Tanito decided to make this figure. I know Sasaki no Pi-chan is like, there are some fans of this anime, but I'm not sure if it is popular enough to even warrant a figure, but it is still a nice thing that they made a figure out of her. I'm not sure how well this will sell, right? I just couldn't get over the name Tanito. Tanito sounds almost like the name of a drug. Yeah. Okay, next one over here, Yumekawa made Emilia. Emilia is trash, Gram is waifu. Yeah. Which one do I prefer? I don't know, man. I'm just repeating what the internet people say. Anyways, 5,400 yen again. Not my kind of Emilia figure for sure. There are so many figures of her. If you don't like this one, there are so many price figures. Not an issue really. I'm not sure if I like the color scheme on this one. Okay, and the next one over here, Yumekawa made Echidna. I actually like Echidna a bit more, even though this is not a very detailed figure to begin with. Like, yeah, the maid outfits could do with a bit more details. I think the reason why I like Echidna a bit more is simply because of that smug expression she always wears on her face. I love that so much. Yeah, that smug over there. But this figure is like a pair with Emilia. If you buy this one, you'll need Emilia as well, right? Otherwise, it feels incomplete in a way. Echidna also has quite a number of price figures and a couple of skill figures also. Moving on to the next one, we have Kana Arima from Pop-Up Raid. Good smile, 4,000 yen. Every character in this series is kind of likable. But if I have to pick, Kana is my favorite. And no, I would still rather buy a skill figure of her. I wouldn't touch a pop-up raid over here. And I would be interested to see how they do the yellow color trims on her uniform over there. After all, pop-up raid has issues with paint bleeding occasionally with some of their figures. Next one over here, Mega House GEM series Nami Run Run Run. Must be a re-release. I think this one came out before. 7,000 yen for a small figure with a very obvious plastic god. I hated that so much, man. Yeah. I know that the figure is so small that they couldn't do a foot pack the normal way because the pack would be too small and fragile, but still I hate this so much. Yeah. Moving on to the last figure on HLJ, we have Melty Princess, which is a line of low-cost figures by Mega House. They are really small, very similar to their palm-sized figures, way too small to my liking. Of course, Ram is going to get a figure because everyone buys Ram, and this is like how many hundred figures of her already, right? 7,400 yen for a tiny figure, definitely not the kind of money I would pay for a tiny figure like this, yeah. For me, bigger is definitely better, but also I place a limit on how big is acceptable. Some 1x4 scale resin figures are insane, like they are way too huge, and I would not want that kind of super giant statue in my shelf. That is all for figures on HLJ. Moving on to AmiAmi, we have Lacus Klein Barrel Bunny version re-released by Freeing. Of course, they are going to remove the stockings, but for Lacus Klein specifically, this character in this pose, I think even without the stockings, she looks fine, right? She doesn't look bad. 36,300 yen. Here is your second chance. If you missed out your first, just like I did, pre-order it before you regret it. This is an AmiAmi exclusive. Yep. I mean, Gundam Seed movie is a smashing success. I'm really waiting to watch it. Like, I couldn't wait, man. I am a huge Gundam Seed fan. It is my childhood. By the way, not exactly childhood, more like high school studenthood. Yeah, it was one of my first Gundam series, which is why it is very special. I really wish that I have the budget to allocate for this one. I wouldn't mind without a stocking, right? Okay, moving on to the next one over here. What is this? Puchirama, okay, bust figure. Puchirama EX free run set over here. 9,300 yen for 3 bust figures and 2 statues of a dead hero. Not the kind of thing I would like to collect. I have never been a fan of bust figures. But a set of 3, a set of 5 actually, if you include these 2 over here, for 9,000 yen is not too bad, but I don't think they're really big. Yeah, they're smaller than Nendoroids, oh god. 85 millimeters. They're so small. It is Mega House we're talking about. Pretty much everything they make are overpriced. Moving on to the next one, this is a 3-pack box without the dead hero statue for 7,000 yen. Once again, they are really small, up to you whether you you want to proceed or not, right? This is AmiAmi exclusive, this exclusive version, and then this is the regular version. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is the most overpriced figure this week. What the heck, Amakuni? Okay, we have Terrible Tornado, or I call her, what's her name again? Her Japanese name? Tatsumaki, yeah. 1/7 scale, simple figure in plain black outfit. I know. This is Amakuni. We are talking about, even with a plain black outfit over there, there is quite a bit of gradient and shading in that paintwork. But still, I can't agree with this being 25,000 yen almost. And of course, with that AmiAmi exclusive nonsense going on over here, you are not going to get a single yen of discount, unfortunately. And with this figure, I believe I complained about it in Wonder Festival. I don't think they have fixed the face over here. The face from this angle looks good, right? But when you rotate the figure around, the eye will look a bit dislocated or misaligned. I'm not too sure. Yeah, this angle, see? The eye looks really weird from this angle. But in the end, this is like based on an original art, I think. Like some artists draw this character from that angle, right? From that angle, and then when you translate it into a 3D object, you rotate it around, things start looking weird. Yeah, I wouldn't blame Amakuni for that. But I have to call them out over here. This is way too expensive. This is no more than 20,000 yen. Yeah, this is 5,000 yen too expensive over here. The same can be said for Hellish Blizzard. Like, I can't recall her Japanese name at the moment. Screw it. Okay. Once again, almost 25k, and you know, when they put these two figures next to each other, there was some of you complaining about how their scale is different because Tatsumaki is a lot shorter than her older sister, but it is just an illusion and I have no idea why Amakuni did this. It is not very obvious over here, but Tatsumaki has a longer foot peg, right? If compared to her elder sister. If you see carefully in these pictures over here, yeah, there we go. This is so obvious, right? That that foot peg is adding a good 15 millimeters of height to the figure. I don't know why Amakuni did this. I would prefer both figures to be different height, like an obvious difference that the elder sister is taller because it looks more natural to me. The reason why Amakuni did this, I can kind of guess why, because this is what the Japanese want, the Japanese collectors. That is what they prefer. And there are not many occasions where I agree with the taste of the Japanese people when it comes to collecting figures, and this is one of them over here. You know, no pegs, no holes in figures, so you get all these plastic gods. That is one of them. And here being another example which I disagree with their preferences, so even though it is kind of subjective. Overpriced, overpriced, overpriced. Moving on to the next one, also AmiAmi exclusive, and this is possibly the first time I'm seeing a figure of Claudia. We get so many Ryza figures. I don't think Claudia has gotten skill figures before. Of course, I might be wrong, but I don't recall any. But this pair of figures, oh, they go so well together that for Ryza collectors, I would highly recommend you guys to pick one up despite the price. Compared to that One Punch Man figures earlier of the two sisters, I mean, these two figures going for 44,000 yen is not too bad, right? I mean, think about it for a second. If not for Fat Company, if this was made by some other figure brand, I would tell you guys to get one, like without thinking twice. The problem right now is that this is made by Fat Company and I don't have much confidence in them pulling off the paintwork. Like those gold color trims on the Chinese dress, I hope there are no paint bleeding because that is what they are an expert in, paint bleeding. If Fat Company can get this done properly, 46k, not 44. 46k if Fat can get it done properly, this pair of figures over here, they are like one of the top 3 Ryza figures to get. Simply because Claudia is part of the set over here. We don't get Claudia figures, right? I love this so much. You can get them separately, of course, for 24k each. It makes no sense to me because they are meant to be a set, of course. You can display them in the independently because they are getting separate parts. So see, she is holding dim sum over here, and then Claudia is holding cake because she loves making pastries. But if you have the set, you get these extra arm parts where they are holding hands. I like this so much, right? This is like a really smart way, a really clever way to design a figure. Of course, Fat Company, they know it. Which figure is going to sell really well, which one not so much. So the ones that are predicted to be popular, they go exclusive. Yeah, they go AmiAmi exclusive. They're FGO figures for one. And this one getting AmiAmi exclusivity, I can't say I'm too surprised either. That is the sad part. And the last AmiAmi exclusive for this week, we have Guluko, original character Elvina Chan's sister version, 1/7 scale by Solar Rain, 24,200 yen, coming out in September. Another Nun figure, but this is kind of nice. Well, if I want a Nun figure, maybe I'll go for those naughty ones by Native, hehe. But this one looks great. She is really adorable. 24k feels okay. I mean, given the base and that chair she is getting. And that is all for AmiAmi exclusives this week. Now we move on to NininGame for more exclusive items. The first one over here, Beautiful Thoughts Japan Ochi Lipka 1/5 scale. They do have other edgy figures this week, not many, like 3 or 4 of them. Go and check them out yourself. But for the ones I can put on screen, this is the only one. Only 17,000 yen at 1/5 scale, but this is a very simple figure to begin with, right? At 1/5 scale, lolly character, this can't be a big figure. I believe this figure has came out quite a number of years ago, and they are calling this what do you call it again? Revival version. Okay, so they are calling this revival version. I'm inclined to believe it is the same figure from the past, but maybe they have done improvements on the sculpt. Yeah, this is going to piss off a lot of the first edition buyers, the one who bought the first version, but I hope that they do improve on it. Yeah. Otherwise, their figures will keep making into my worst of the year list, right? Moving on to the next one, hands down the best 1/4 scale genuine figure for the week. For a price, Creators Collection Original Character Yuri and Stella 1/4 scale Hospital version. 76,300 yen for both, right? Very expensive, but I wouldn't call this overpriced given what you're getting in the entire package, right? Okay, so as usual with edgy figure brands, right? They always find a way to make anything attractive, including a terminal stage 4 cancer patient. Just my speculation, right? Okay, and it is not often you get someone on a wheelchair and with all those saline bags, right? So this is really interesting. 40,000 yen for this one. If bought separately, or yeah, for the nurse 36k, but I would still recommend you to go for both because they go so well together, right? And moving on to the last genuine licensed figure for this week, this is something I can't recommend. Feels really overpriced. Creators Collection Original Sarah 1/4 scale Red Queen version by Binding and Native, just because it is a limited edition. They are asking 45,000 yen for this thing. I can't justify it, right? This doesn't look like something that is worth more than 40k or even 38k. And I would rather you go for that 76,000 yen figure earlier, that pair of hospital figures. That looks amazing, right? And that is all for genuine figures on pre-order this week. Now we move on to third parties making use of OzGK, our affiliate partner. There will be affiliate pre-order links for some of these figures down in the descriptions below. Make use of it if you're interested in any of these figures over here. Okay, we have a lot of Genshin and Honkai stuff this week, as if we don't have enough. And there is a 1/4 scale 2B figure that made me want it so badly, man. Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. For me, the highlight figure of this week, Cocogoat. So this Yao Mingming Studio 1/6 scale sheep Ganyu is going for only $95 at 1/6 scale. Pick one up if you collect Genshin stuff. This is so adorable. I like this so much, man. I would rather you buy something like this over those Hadaka figures, like they make her Hadaka for no good reason. This one, at least something really unique, right? And someone posted a comment in my post on Facebook on these figures, on this character's lore, I think, where her waistline is so big that she ended up choking a monster who tried to swallow her. So is this a big waistline to you? To me, I think an average American Karen has at least twice as big of a waistline as this one. This is not that big. Anyways, buy it, buy it, buy it. This is so lovely. I couldn't wait until Figure News Fix on Sunday, you see. I posted this as a post on my YouTube channel because I wanted to bring your attention to this adorable figure of Ganyu over here. Yeah. Moving on to the next one, we have Furina from Genshin Impact by IC Studio, $187. And this is the one thing I don't understand about Furina is that so far there are no figure companies, genuine or third party, that has been able to make a decent figure of Furina. The face looks horrid, right? Yes, I'm referring to this figure as well, and pretty much every others that went on pre-order, there are not a single figure of Furina that made me happy. This is a very early bird pre-order, we need more pictures, and yeah, you are paying half the price of this figure for the base. Admittedly, I want the base for figure photography reasons, but for everyone else, I can't recommend this figure of Furina at all. I would say wait. Wait for the better figure brands to take on this character. Next one over here from Genshin, again Lynette by OZ Production Studio, $187. I'm not sure if that includes Hadaka parts. I hope it is. This one does not appeal to me so much because this is like a generic JK figure to me, but at the same time, there are not many figures of Lynette out there, even by third parties, right? At least you can remove the skirt, which she probably stole it from Hatsune Miku. That skirt over there, you can remove it. Yeah. The figure is actually cast offable. That is great news. So $187 is kind of reasonable over here. Moving on to the next one from Jigen World Studio, which makes really good figures, by the way, if you are unfamiliar with them. This is Ganyu and Keqing made version. You can go for the set for $465. That is a huge saving. If you buy Keqing or Ganyu, only $260 each, right? Speaking of the face of these figures, right? Yeah, it is slightly different from the official artwork and how the character looks like in the game. I agree. This feels like, how do I call it? A fan art version, you know? An independent artist who sells art in anime events. They draw their own version of an existing game or anime character. Yeah, it feels like a fan art version, but I am not complaining because the face looks really adorable. I love it so much, right? I mean, it is different, but not in a bad way. That is what I feel over here. Keqing, I like it a bit more than Ganyu, but ideally, you need to go for both to complete the set, right? Even though it feels repetitive when you have two bar stool and desktops over there. Yeah, if I could only choose either one, I would go for Keqing in this case. Moving on to the next one, hey. Life-sized doll. You already know what it is. I don't have to elaborate. Okay, RHB Studio Genshin Impact Nahida. This one starts from as low as $670 or so, right? And goes up to $1,209. Yeah, the difference lies in the material. Like if you go for the premium version, the more expensive ones, the skin material is more realistic. It feels like real human skin. And I know while I may complain about, how do I put it? Realistic faces, right, on anime statues, but when it comes to life-sized stuff, then I think a real human face makes more sense. This feels like a doll of an existing cosplayer. It really feels that way to me. But if you are dry enough and you want to have fun with Nahida, but that cosplayer is something way out of your league, you know, you can never dream of dating her at all, I think this is the next best thing. After all, this is only $1,200 when you factor in that the maintenance cost of a real girlfriend is a lot higher. This is starting to look like bargain. Alright, and moving on to the next one over here, 1x4 scale Yaemiko by Pink Pictures Studio. Early bird pre-order, only one picture over here, but estimated to be $352 only for the dress version, which is a great value actually. But once again, I am not buying stuff with this kind of realistic face unless the original official character design is also realistic, right? I think makes sense. Underwear version is likely to be cheaper. There is no picture yet, but if you were to buy something like this, buy the dress version, right? Doesn't make any sense to buy the lingerie version. Next one, okay, the next two figures, they are from One Piece. As usual, every week we have Boa Hancock and Yamato, and that is exactly the case this week as well. This Boa Hancock figure is an early bird pre-order figure only, with that base of course a 991. 191, character plus DLC, you already know that is Hadaka parts for 215, so not a big price increase over here. We only have one picture, but I don't have a problem with the face over here. Very pretty, very nice Boa Hancock figure. In fact, there are not many bad Boa Hancock figures at all. So you just choose your poison, choose your favorite one, right? We'll see what is the poison this week for me. We'll come to that in a second. Next one over here, Yamato by Phoenix Studio in wedding dress, $409. Okay, this is 1/6 scale, but this is a huge figure because of the base and the dress, right? Very detailed figure. Once again, just like Boa Hancock, there are not many bad figures of Yamato, if any at all. This looks amazing. The details are outstanding, but this is far from my favorite Yamato figure, right? I think there are others that I like a bit more and doesn't cost as much as this one, but this is still a great addition to anyone's collection, surely. A pretty solid buy. Next one over here, okay, this figure over here gave me a bit of a mixed feeling. One of many Honkai figures to come for this week. Okay, from Mission Studio, we have Silver Wolf from Honkai Star Rail. Okay, version A, the one you're looking at, which includes a Hadaka part, $254. Version B is completely Hadaka. I'm not putting on screen, that is like 168 or so. Of course, buy the version A, right? The thing with this figure of Silver Wolf is that I'm not sure if I like the face, but at the same time, this might be more of an initial impression, you know, because I really disliked the face when I first saw it. But the more I look at this figure, right, like I stare at this figure for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then the longer I look at her, the more I'm starting to like it. So this is probably the case where the initial impression isn't as good, but the more you look at the figure, the more it is starting to grow on you. I think that is the feeling I'm getting over here. My favorite version is still the one by NiPP Studio, no contest. I hope they don't mess up the face on that one. This one is far from my favorite figure of Silver Wolf, but at the same time, it is a good value. Like, this is plenty detailed. You're getting a chibi figure, as you can see, right? Everything is included. Wow, I like this so much. I like my science fiction stuff, you see. Yep, and this chibi figure over here. So in terms of value proposition, for the entire package, $254 is not bad, but I'm still having mixed feelings about the face. The next Honkai figure over here by FWS Studio, where the figures are kind of decent, even though they love taking pre-orders using CGI renders. This is a CGI render, not an actual figure picture. $274. I hope that includes a cast-off feature. Otherwise, that would be a bit too expensive in my opinion for a 1/6 scale. Yeah, they are inflating the size of the figure using a tall base as usual. They do it a lot, the third parties. Definitely CGI render, very obvious over here. But at the same time, figures made by this brand, they are quite decent, right? So if you really want one, I would say pre-order it with a peace of mind. I don't think you have to be too worried about this one right here. Next one, okay, we have two figures of Sparkle this week. Both are really good, but this is the inferior one. Not to say Hunyu Studio is bad. Hunyu Studio makes excellent figures, and they give you 1/6 scale and 1/4 scale to choose from, right? 1/6 scale, 226, 1/4 scale, 378. Up to you, but the face on this figure, she looks great. I have no complaints at all, right? Just that, unfortunately, this has to go on pre-order within the same week as the one by Absinthe Studio, which really shines over here. Oh, this is $299 US for the standard version, $350 for the limited version, deluxe version, which you already know what extra part you're getting. The thing is that I know some people don't like figures like this because it feels like paying excessively for a base which you don't want because it takes up too much space. But this is kind of this is my kind of thing, right? And especially that low angle picture. Yes, this one over here. Oh, the moment I saw this low angle shot over here, I want her so badly. This should have been the highlight figure of this week, right? I mean, from a quality wise, from a detail perspective, this is the one of the best 1x6 skills this week. I shouldn't be giving Cocogoat the highlight, but that figure was so adorable, I couldn't resist it. So yeah. Oh, and that face expression. There is nothing bad looking about this figure at all. And for the brand AmiAmi Studio, right, there are mixed opinions from people. Some of you have issues with the brand, while others, you guys praise the brand, right? I think the most likelihood reason over here is that maybe their earliest few figures, their first few releases had issues, and then they slowly got better over time. So if you went for their earliest releases, their first few figures, it is likely you got something below average. But nowadays, we'll see, right? I have a Ganyu figure on pre-order from them, we'll see. I don't think I'm going to pre-order this figure of Sparkle because there is something that attracted my attention even more. We'll get to that in a second. But seriously, this is super tempting. Yeah. Moving on to the next one. This is the one I was talking about. I was so badly poisoned by this figure the moment I saw it a few days ago, right? By Cool Bear Studio, 2B from Nier Automata, regular version, which I don't recommend unless space is a concern. This is the regular version, 560, but for only an additional $100, you're getting this incredible looking base with LED lights. Yeah, all these structures have LEDs in it. 660. Swimsuit version, I don't think there are any pictures uploaded yet, but don't bother. Right, this is the best one over here. Okay, and there is a black and white version. Where is the white version? Let me put on screen over here. Oh, face is pretty. Yeah, there we go. This is the white version. Okay, if I were to get this figure, I would go for the black version for two reasons. The first reason is that that is her default character color, you know, that is her official color. The second reason is more of a practical reason, which you might want to think carefully. Well, white color is highly susceptible to environmental factors. Discoloration. If there is dust on the figure, it is super obvious. That is for one. Number two is that if the figure turns yellow for any reason, maybe you did not take good care of it, or the figure is getting hit by sunlight, so many different reasons, then the figure would look really bad, like the white color becomes yellow. It is super obvious. But for black color figures, if there is a discoloration or even a scratch, you can barely see it, right? This is the practical aspect where you need to think about when you choose a color version. I would totally tell you to go for the black one. Yeah. Do I want one? Well, it is very difficult for me to justify over $600 for any figure for the matter, be it genuine or third party, but it is really hard to resist this one. And if I were to pick up a 1x4 scale 2B figure, I think this would be one of the ultimate figures I would be willing to pay for, right? I still need a few days or even weeks to think carefully whether to buy it or not. As for Cool Bear Studio, in my episode 2 of which third-party figure brand is good, I featured an existing 2B figure by this brand. Go and check out that video, right? The quality is outstanding. That existing version by Cool Bear Studio is actually in stock in some stores. You have to ask GK for it. I think they might have it because this figure is relatively mass-produced. Like, the quantity isn't as limited, right? And that figure is outstanding. So, yeah. I'm a bit indecisive over here in the sense that I can't decide to just go for the existing one that has already been released or wait patiently for this one over here. Between the existing one and this new version, of course, this new one is a lot better looking. Just that it is all down to patience right now. And this realistic face over here, this is super pretty. I know that I don't like realistic faces, but 2B's original character design to begin with in the game is pretty realistic, so I have no issues over here. Between this and blindfolded version, I think I would still display her blindfolded because that is her trademark look, right? Oh, I want one so badly, man. Anyways, let's move on to the next figure, right? Okay, from Goza Studio, we have Misa from Death Note. We don't get figures of Misa very often. This is $309. Yeah, very tall figure, but I believe this is 1/6 scale, and unfortunately, the face on this figure of Misa is horrid. Oh wow. Okay, this is a series of figures, Anime Rhapsody series, alright. Yes, she is castable, but when take a good look at the face over here, I can't say I like the face on this one. Uh, is it bad looking? No, I don't think so. Just that maybe this is a subjective matter. I'm not a big fan of the face over here. And yes, this figure is castable. Y'all Death Note fans don't have really much of a choice to begin with, right? Not many figures out there. Especially for Misa, yeah. So you might want to take a look at this one right here. Moving on to the next one. This is a licensed figure in a way. This is an original character by the studio. GD Toys Studio, original made frontline. A very not original name. Number 3, Nova. This is an action figure, by the way. 1/6 scale, only 174. So this is a really good purchase, right? Seamless action figure. Oh, look at that. Cyberpunk vibes going on. Yeah, if you collect 1/6 scale action figures, you buy Hot Toys Iron Man, buy Captain America, or those kind of things in general, then figures like this would blend in really nicely. You might want to consider it. This looks fabulous. I love it so much. I love the concept of it, right? And the thing is that I don't like her. Okay. I wanted to say I don't like her face, but no, not really. This face from this angle looks fine. I think it is a matter of viewing angle once again. Yeah, this angle over here not that nice, right? But I think I would put that gas mask on her face if I would have this figure, because she looks super badass with it. And then that goggle on top, I think that is an infrared or night vision goggle, right? Yeah, looks pretty cool to me. Moving on to the next one from Attack on Titan, the only one this week, Mikasa Ackerman and Armin Arlet. Okay, each figure is 409. Is this 1/4 scale? So expensive. Yes, 1/4 scale. Okay, 1/4 scale, 409 makes more sense. At first, I thought there were a lot of dust particles on the hair, but no, this is just editing. I thought there was dust, and then they just used the picture as product pic anyway. Not to say I don't understand that sentiment, because sometimes I see dust on the figure. I'm so lazy to clean it 100%, and then I took pictures anyway. 1/4 scale, yeah. The face is lovely, no issues over here. And texture galore. The kind of details you get when you buy resin stuff. Moving on to the next one over here, Fallen Angel Studio. Okay, finally, a few weeks ago, or is it a month ago, we had, what was her name again? Yeah, that figure, I made it the main highlight of that video that week. This week, I did not want to repeat the same series, Xenoblade, as the main highlight. So yeah, I used Cocogoat as the main title for today's video, right? Not to take anything away from this figure. Now we have Pyra Homura from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 by Fallen Angel Studio, 1/4 scale. This is the battle suit version. I know this is realistic face we're looking at, but given that other character Mitra behind is getting an anime version face, I do think that this version, this Pyra over here, will also get an anime version face. At the same time, I would advise caution. Like, don't pre-order this too early yet, because there might be additional new versions down here, right? They create new versions and then they'll ask you whether you want the anime face on the realistic face or both, no, deluxe version, and then you go for the deluxe version. I know they're showing pictures of the realistic version only, which is what the Chinese figure collectors in China prefer, from what I heard. I will always choose anime version if I had to display figures like this. Oh, the details on the outfit, man. Between this one and that 2B figure earlier by Cool Bear Studio, 2B is still the main highlight for me this week. Alright, moving on to the next one from Revenge Studio. We have Narrow Sacral Swallowtail from Black Clover. Now that is not very common. Has there been many Black Clover figures? I think not many, right? Anyways, this is available in 1x6 scale for $375 or 1x4 scale at $500. Just that, once again, you're paying 60-70% of the figure's price on the base, and I'm not a fan of the character design over here anyways, so no, this is a big skip for me, right? The only picture, yeah, this is the only picture, early bird pre-order. But given that the resolution of the picture is quite high, I think we can see quite a bit of the figure already. Alright, moving on to the next one over here. Okay, the next 2 or 3 figures are from Final Fantasy VII. One of them is spicy enough for me to censor a large part of it, but that, yeah, we'll get to that in a second, right? This is by Hunter Fan Studio. They have made a lot, and I mean a lot of Final Fantasy figures already. This is just one of many. Tifa Lockhart at 1x4 scale standard version going for 465 EX version. Yeah, you know what you're getting, right? Hadaka parts for 500, just 35 bucks. Maybe you're getting 2 different face parts or 2 different head sculpts, I think. $35 shouldn't be... I mean, an extra Hadaka body shouldn't cost only $35, right? Let's take a look down here. Yeah, EX version, resin hairstyle and real hairstyle. Different head, not extra body. Alright. So what do you think about the face of this Tifa Lockhart? Like, some of you, I know, you guys are pretty picky on which third-party Tifa Lockhart figures to buy, and you guys can afford to be picky because there are so many choices, right? And you are very particular about the face and the eyes especially. So what do you think about this one over here? I think I'll let you decide. I do like Tifa, but it is not like I am a huge fan of her that I wanted a 1x4 scale. Yeah, 2 different hairstyles as you can see over here. I think I prefer this gloss black over here for some reason. Personal taste, I think. Oh, this one is low resolution, unfortunately. Alright, we move on to the next one over here. Hey, once again. So, do you prefer MILF or Lolly? If you prefer Lolly, we have that Nahida 1x1 scale earlier. If you prefer something a bit more matured, yeah, we have Tifa, life-sized, right? Not exactly life-sized, depending on which model you go for over here. The cheapest one is $776, but she is only 145 cm, which is too short, right? Tifa isn't that short. If you go for the one that is actually life-sized, 168, 170 centimeters tall, life-sized statue, then it will set you back at almost $2,000 US dollars. However, I can't say I would recommend this simply because that does not look like Tifa's face to me at all. Don't you think? Doesn't look like her at all, yeah. Don't like the face at all, so maybe wait for the next company to make a life-sized statue of her. Yeah. Okay, and the last 4 figures for today, they are, yeah, cultured figures, degenerate figures. The first one here from Light and Dust Studio, Final Fantasy, Tifa and Aerith. So this is a value purchase, right? And this pair of figures surprised me. I posted it on my Facebook page, it went viral for some reason. And I wasn't aware that Tifa and Aerith, or Final Fantasy VII for the matter, is so popular among my followers. It was quite a realization. This pair of figures, 2 1x4 scales, going for $549, an absolute bargain. And this pair of figures is very artistic, right? Very artistic, the sculpture and everything. So if you don't mind displaying stuff like this in your collection, then by all means buy it, right? I do like the face over here. At least the face of this Tifa over here, I think she looks great. Aerith, because I'm not a big fan of her, I'm not sure what she is supposed to look like to begin with. But at least for Tifa, this looks fabulous. A pair of 1x4 scales with that amazing base for only $549. Oh. Okay, best value buy this week, right? Best value. The second figure over here, okay, this may seem rather mundane, rather meh in comparison to many of the degenerate figures I've covered over the weeks. And I'm classifying this figure as a degenerate figure simply because there is a second face part, a Bukake face part, right? Yeah, so go and check out the pictures. I'm not putting on screen because I don't know that face part whether YouTube will like it or not, but this is only $119 US at 1/6 scale. I would say go for it. I like this so much. I love this so much. Simply as a subject for figure photography, right? The thing is that this is an original character. This is a licensed figure. There is a likelihood where HLJ AmiAmi will open pre-order for this figure in the coming weeks or two. Yeah. Moving on to the third degenerate figure over here from Arctic Wolf Studio. This is their second or their third Silver Wolf figure already, which is possibly because it is the best seller, so they keep spamming, you know. So if you want a figure of Silver Wolf but you want something cultured, here it is, 1/6 scale, only $117 US. I would still go for the cloth version actually if I were to buy a figure of her. And the last degenerate figure for today from Soda Studio Martian successor Nadesico. It was an anime actually. Was it 24 episodes or so? I did not watch it. I think I should watch it. Like, this figure made me curious about what this anime is about. Ruri Hoshino, $239. I can only show the face over here. Yeah. And that is all for figures on pre-order this week. Which one will you pre-order? Let me know down in the comments below. Meanwhile, I'm going to go and question what is the meaning of life because I am severely poisoned and attracted by that $660 to-be figure earlier by Cool Bear Studio. I want one so badly. Yeah. Until then, if you enjoyed this video today, please give this video a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to this channel for anime figure content every week. Until then, I'll see you guys again very soon. Goodbye.